This is Sid Haas with LKCS. I'm the Vice President of Business Development, and I want to thank you all for attending our presentation today. We're going to be discussing multi-channel marketing and how you can use it to your advantage to improve your marketing results. For those of you not familiar with LKCS, I have one obligatory slide to introduce the company. We've been working with financial institutions since the early 1960s, and we certainly provide a wide range of services across all of the different channels that you may need to use for your marketing. So while we started as a traditional printing company, printing and mailing, we've grown into all sorts of electronic services. And for the past 15 years or so, our focus has really been on utilizing data to improve your marketing efforts. As we'll discuss today, we'll give you some ideas on how to utilize all of these different marketing channels that are available today to both improve your results and reduce your costs. So personally, I think we got it wrong, and we named the title of this presentation the wrong thing. Rather than the gold medal service you expect, it's really about the gold medal results that you can achieve. So I guess that's my opinion. But when we talk about multi-channel marketing, what we're talking about are all the different avenues, all the different media types and places where you can obviously spread your marketing and advertising messages. Those include your physical branches, those include your website, they include direct mail and email, mass media, radio and TV, and certainly today social media. And these are just a few, of the major ones. But you have a lot of different options. So when we talk about, multi-channel marketing, again, this is really just a few of the options that you have available to you. But I typically spread, into four different groups, or four different channels, I guess you would say. The traditional channel, which to me is more about print and the logoed products and the mass media type stuff. Digital, is everything relating to websites and social media and email. In branch, which is still certainly very important, your physical locations. And then we have a fourth channel that most people don't think of, where we talk about Transpromo, or utilizing your statements and notices and all of those other account-related communications that you have, with your account holders. And that includes your e-statements. So we'll be talking about all four of these areas a little bit. I'm certainly not going to touch on every one of the little bulleted items on here, because I could probably give a half an hour to hour long presentation on every one, and none of us want to be here that long. So just know that your branding, your brand messaging ties all of this together. So as you spread your advertising and marketing messages across multiple channels, it's your branding that's going to tie it all together, and obviously make it obvious who you are, in addition to what you're promoting. These little green dots that I've just added are what I would consider inexpensive add-ons, and we'll be talking about this more often, throughout the presentation. But as you're developing campaigns, these are the things that you can add to your campaigns at a very low cost to help, again, improve that message and get it out to more people, put it in more places where people can see them. So we'll be talking about them quite a bit, but those are what I would consider those inexpensive add-ons. Because of all the different options that you have, you do need to choose wisely, right? So you need to think about who your audience is, who are you marketing to, where might they see that message, where wouldn't they see that message. So I'm going to give you a few things to think about. First, when it comes to new member and new customer acquisition, obviously they're not going to have your brochures, right? They don't necessarily know anything about you. They don't have your brochures. They're not in your branches. You don't have their email addresses. And as an aside, I highly do not recommend that you ever purchase email addresses. I have never seen that to result in a good experience for anybody. So email addresses, when it comes to new member and new customer acquisition, they're just not available. There's no such thing as free social marketing. These people, new members and new customers, they're not likely to follow you on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you might be, you can certainly reach them, and we'll talk about paid social a little bit later in the presentation. But just realize that if you're going to be using social media for new member and customer acquisition, you're going to be paying for it. And they're not getting your statements. So right off the bat, you can see that a number of channels and different solutions, parts of those channels are kind of unavailable to you for member and customer acquisition. And we'll come back to this and show you ways that some of the channels and some of the options available to you are really good at reaching new members and new customers. When it comes to retention and cross-sell of your existing account holders, though, all of those options that we discussed are on the table. You can use free social media, you can use your brochures, you can certainly use email addresses, and then all of the other print and web and statement marketing options that you have are all available for marketing to your existing account holders. So what you're beginning to see is that you may want to consider different mixtures, of these different media choices and different channel choices that you have. So what do? You balance your budget based on your goals, right? Some options that we've discussed and we'll discuss more at little cost for maximum impact, and especially when you're marketing to those existing account holders. So, think about, if you're promoting e-statements as an example, you're typically not going to be promoting e-statements to non-account holders so you're going to be promoting those to your existing members and customers. So that's going to result in you choosing a different mixture of media choices than if you were going to be promoting checking accounts to those that didn't have them, right? You can promote checking accounts both to your existing account holders that don't have checking and to new account holders that you don't have yet, but you're going to do it in different ways. So in addition to whether you have a relationship with someone or not, you may want to pay attention to their age. We all think that age matters, right? And one constant that we hear here at LKCS from just about all of our customers is that we need younger account holders. Everybody's looking, everybody's customers are getting older, and everybody's looking to backfill, right, with those younger customers and those younger members. So when we look at Generation X, we consider that to be those people born from 1965 to 1980. Generation Y, I simplified a little bit. Those are the people born in the 80s and 90s, and you're seeing that they're rarely seen, in your branches, right? They might be occasionally, but especially now with the advent of remote deposit capture and things like that, you just don't see them a lot. And those millennials, they're unaware of life before 9/11, and they do everything online. What's interesting about the millennial generation is that they value their time more than anything else. So in case you haven't seen the Generation Y people a lot, you're never, ever going to see the millennial generation in your branches unless they have to be there, and they're typically not going to be real happy to be there. But what's also interesting, and I just saw this the other day, is that the millennial generation are actually bigger savers than other generations, and they don't understand the stock market. So they're keeping their money in traditional CDs and, certificates and savings accounts and things like that. So there's obviously a good reason that you want to reach out to them. But you are going to be using different channels to reach some of these groups than others. That doesn't mean, by the way, that when you're looking at the boomer generations or Generation X, that you're immediately going to take everything online off the table, because that's not at all true. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple of slides that discuss online usage by age group. So what I want you to see in this slide is obviously that across all generations, and all age groups, there's a pretty substantial usage of these groups. They're doing a lot of online shopping. So the blue bars indicate the percentage of those online shoppers, of all online shoppers who are in those age groups. And the red bars is the percent of the U.S. population that are at that age. And look at the two that I've highlighted in that yellow box. So people between 35 and 54 make up only about 37% of the population, but they're accounting for over 47% of the online shopping. Now, obviously, banks and credit unions aren't selling online, shopping, but these people are conducting business online. And by obviously writing off, the use of email or social media or, effective use of your website, you're leaving out a big portion of this population. And the same is true for that 55 to 64-year-old group and that 65 plus. And that 65 plus is really interesting to look at as well. This next slide shows you social media users by age group, and it's no surprise that, the younger, and the 18 to 34, 18 to 44 group dominates social media. But look at the 45 to 54 and look at the 65 plus. It's obviously not, you're only have 18%, 17.5% of your, of that age group using social media, but it's the fastest growing segment of social media users compared to the other age groups. So what's that? What that's telling you is that, social media is going to reach all of these age groups effectively. And again, don't just write off, that 65 plus age group because they're not using social media, because they are, and they're using them in greater and greater numbers every year. So what's the right mix? I wish I could tell you, unfortunately there's no magic, you always want to do this and you always want to do that, because it really depends on each campaign that you're running. But we do have some gold medal suggestions that we're going to be going through in this presentation. And we suggest that you use those as your guide, but you are going to have to pick your team. You're going to have to select from all those different options that you have for marketing. You're going to have to select which ones make the most sense for your campaign. And that's going to be based on, who you're trying to target and what that product and service is. We can certainly help with that, give you lots of ideas for any particular campaign you're thinking of, but that's something that's really done on a per campaign basis. So the first gold medalist, I guess, that I want to talk about is direct mail. And there is no better traditional one-to-one marketing method than direct mail. So when you look at that traditional, channel and those traditional, marketing options that are available to you, there's nothing better than direct mail to hit your target. And across all of those channels, direct mail is clearly the best option for new member and customer acquisition. And the reason for that is because of the high quality mailing lists that are available. The data that's available on every consumer in the US is absolutely amazing. And it's highly accurate. So we can target, for new account holder acquisition, we can target by demographics. So not only can we look at where people live, but we have all sorts of factors, demographic and psychographic factors that we can look at. So we can really hone in on those people that are, likely savers or investors if you're looking at deposit products, or likely borrowers if you're looking at loan products, and look at, sending different messaging to different people based on their age or, their home ownership or how many children they have in their household or any other factors. So we can purchase these lists, of people that live in the communities that you serve that meet very specific criteria to really help you hit that target. And there's really no other marketing option that gives you that kind of granularity than direct mail. To give you an idea on the financial side of what's available, I want to share with you one list source, I guess, that's out there called Nielsen Claritas Cycle. Nielsen sells this cycle model, and what they do is they divide every U.S. household into 13 groups in 58 different segments based on their financial behaviors and the wealth of that household. So they all have fun names, the young up-and-comers and the boomer comfort and the suburban achievers. But what they also define what each of those groups mean and what type of people are in each of those groups, and same things for those 58 segments. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, one of their segments is number 46, settling down, and you can read it for yourself. But obviously what you're seeing here is these are heavy users of installment credit, personal and auto loans, and banking services like ATMs and checking accounts. Sounds like the type of segment you guys might be looking for, right? That's an example of a way that now we can go out, we can look at the products and services that you guys are offering, at the communities you're trying to serve, and say, okay, so here's the list of zip codes or the towns or the radius around my branches that I want to target, and I'm looking specifically for, auto loans or personal loans. Here's one of those PSYCLE segments that might work. Maybe there's a few others that, look really good. They're doing the financial profiling for you. So how many people live in those communities or live in that radius area that, are also in this settling down PSYCLE segment? That's the type of data that's out there. And then I can purchase, those names and addresses for you to use in your direct mail campaigns. It's pretty powerful stuff. And like I said, direct mail is really the only option that you have to get to this level of targeting. You can certainly use direct mail for your existing account holders as well. I don't want you to think that it's not effective for doing that. And most of you have the data you need. You just may not know how to get it, right? Because what you need to do for direct mail or even for email campaigns, really any type of campaign, is to identify that target group of existing account holders, right? You want to build that profile of people that have your accounts so that you can identify, all the people that may look just like them that don't have a certain account. So if we know that all of the people that have a specific type of checking account, or most of the people, meet a specific profile, well, which of your other customers or members, fit that same profile but don't have that checking account? And you want to be able to extract targeted mailing lists or targeted email lists or targeted phone lists of those existing account holders. So we're not going to talk about it a lot today, but know that if you don't have a way to do this, that LKCS does have a solution called DataFlex that does everything there and more. DataFlex is it's a reporting and data analysis solution. It's all drag and drop. There's no programming involved. Very simple to use. We provide all of the training and everything like that behind it. Just ask us for a demo. But using direct mail and using even email effectively is all about the data. And our clients, you guys have that data. Like I said before, you just may not know how to get it, and we can help you get it if you need us to. Also with direct mail, again, and email for that matter, you do have the ability to use credit data for your loan campaigns. We'll be giving a presentation again in our monthly webinar series in 2 months. I know there are some recorded on our YouTube channel that talk about our credit alerting and credit prospecting solutions, but know that there's amazing targeting capabilities for loans that are based specifically, we can target either existing account holders or potentially new customers and new members based on their credit score and credit history, and allow you guys to set the specific loan criteria that you're looking for. These types of campaigns are excellent for any type of loan, auto loans, mortgage loans, home equity loans, credit cards, personal loans, and it's useful for both, new loans and refinancing of existing loans, balance transfers on credit cards, all sorts of things. And again, this can be used to cross-sell to both your existing account holders or to acquire, new members and customers. Again, when it comes to new members and customers, direct mail is going to be the way to send out these loan offers. But for your existing members and customers, you can certainly send them out by email and make outbound phone calls to those, to those people you already have relationships with. And this type, using this credit data is less expensive than you think. Everybody thinks, oh, that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. We can show you that it's less expensive than you think, and you're looking at adding about a quarter, 25 cents to each direct mail piece that you're sending out to use that credit data. So highly targeted information, can be used for, to acquire new customers when you use it with direct mail, or it can be used to sell loans to existing members or customers by phone, email, or direct mail. And before I finish up on direct mail, to get the most out of it, it really needs to be personalized. Today's printing technologies really allow mail to be heavily personalized. It dramatically improves response rates. And I'm not talking about just using, dear and a person's name, right? We're talking about actually personalizing the offer, personalizing the images, personalizing the text, of that letter or mail piece based on what we know about the person receiving it. So, that personalization can be used in conjunction with that pre-screen credit data that I was talking about to send those pre-approval offers for auto loans and credit cards and home equity loans. To give you an example, there we can send out auto loan refinancing campaigns in some cases and actually show payment savings examples of based on the loan that somebody has elsewhere, and the amount that they owe, the amount of their payment and what their payment would be, at your bank or credit union, and how much they would save each month and how much they would save over the life of the loan. All of those numbers are obviously personalized for each specific recipient of that campaign. Very relevant information to them because it's their specific financial, situation. But we can use that personalization to simplify responses, right? We can pre-fill applications or reply cards. I mean, how many times are you guys sending out a form, to an existing, customer, or even to a new customer potentially, and their name and address, but you're not filling it in for them. You're making them write it again. If I can simplify, that information, simplify that response by pre-filling everything that I know and then just having them check a few additional boxes, I'm going to greatly improve my response rates. People are inherently lazy, right? Just so you know, the Direct Marketing Association had a webinar recently where they cited personalized letters as the best direct mail option. I'm not saying for sure that they are when you compare them to postcards or self-mailers, but the Direct Marketing Association does say that personalized letters are your best option, so it's worth testing. And with digital printing technologies today, know that letters, postcards, self-mailers, any type of direct mail campaign is viable at any quantity. We don't, have to put anything on a traditional press anymore and print thousands of pieces. I can print 100 postcards or 50 letters and show you that it can pay for itself depending on that target market and that offer and whatever that product is that you're promoting. So don't be afraid to send out small campaigns. Small targeted campaigns can easily outperform much larger campaigns that are much more expensive, but don't have that targeting and that data behind them. And when we talk about multi-channel marketing, in my opinion, every direct mail campaign to your existing account holders should have an email component. I can't think of a single exception to that. Email is extremely inexpensive, and it is extremely effective at the same time. It will reach people who don't see the mail. Think of, if you use my household as the perfect example. In most households, there's one person that gets the mail every day, and they typically get it about the same time every day. In my household, it's my wife. She gets home, she gets the mail, and she throws everything away that I don't need to see. I wouldn't see a direct mail campaign from you, but I might see the email that comes to me. And it shocks me, by the way, how many of your core systems only allow you to save one email address. People have multiple email addresses, and certainly households have multiple email addresses. So with how inexpensive email is, there's no reason that you shouldn't be sending email messages to every email address you have, for each customer and each household. Email reinforces that direct mail piece, and you will get better results when you use the two together. Multiple studies, and I'm sure we'll talk about this again, have shown that people need to see the same message 3 to 5 times before they act on it. And email is an extremely inexpensive way to get it out there one more time. Moving on from direct mail altogether, we'll get into our digital marketing gold medalists. Your website is your flag bearer, right? We're sticking with the Olympic theme, but your website is absolutely your most critical marketing effort by far of any of the other options that you have available. It's as important and arguably more important as building a physical branch. And it is the cornerstone of your branding standards, for other marketing efforts. So, if there's ever a doubt that your website isn't as good as it could be, then you need to invest the money to improve it. Potential customers is the first place they're going to go to get information, about your bank or credit union. It's the first impression that they're going to see about your bank or credit union. And it's a place they're going to keep coming back to. And your existing customers, obviously, you hope they're coming back to your website over and over again. So it is the most critical marketing effort. And when we send out a lot of website quotes and we do a lot of website work, for our customers, and it always amazes me when a customer says, well, that's more money than we were thinking it was going to cost, because of the importance of that website. I mean, I can talk about it with you and your CEOs, directly and go over numbers. I don't want to say that cost should not be a factor in a website, because it's always a factor. But you need to make sure that you are budgeting appropriately to redesign your websites. Websites now only last 3 to 5 years at most. Web technologies are changing. The expectations of your customers and members are changing what they can do with your websites, and all of that. You need to continuously invest in those websites, because, again, they are your most critical marketing effort. And responsive websites make it different. Your site today must be mobile friendly. It's no longer an option. Over 40% of web traffic is from mobile devices. We have customers, we monitor the analytics on all of our customers' websites. We have customers today that have over 50% of their web traffic coming from mobile devices. So if your website is currently not responsive, or you only have a small mobile site with very limited functionality, you need to change that. You need to look at those analytics and see for yourself how much of your web traffic is coming solely from smartphones and tablets. And I will be shocked if it's under 40%. Email marketing is our next gold medal winner. And if you're not sending email blasts regularly, you should be. We've talked about it already a little bit, about how low the cost is for email. And because the cost is so low and the effectiveness is so high, you can see the ROI, according to the Direct Marketing Association and Forrester. It's huge potential for you. And here are some other statistics that you should know. Similar to what we were just talking about with your website, 51% of all email is opened on mobile devices. 80% of people are only scanning your email, meaning they're only going to see the subject line and maybe the first sentence in that email. So that better attract attention, or they're not going to open it. 58% of adults check email first thing in the morning. They're also checking Facebook and their social media at the same time. People with smartphones, though, are checking their email up to 150 times a day. iPhones, obviously there's some debate now between them and Samsung as who's the dominant device, but they're going to cut off a subject line over 32 characters. So where does 32 characters fall in the subject lines for any emails that you're sending? And you want to make sure to still use white space. You don't want to pack your content too tightly. And I'll show you here in a few seconds, what we mean by that. But when we talk about using email marketing, again, we're talking about the fact that it's inexpensive. It's not free. Email is not free, but it's inexpensive. It's measurable. Of all the different media options, all of the different, multi-channel options that we presented earlier, it is the most measurable and trackable method of marketing. So because it's trackable, it allows us to follow up with individuals that click specific links. So I know not only who's read my messages and how many times they've read them, but I know who's clicked on links, how many times they've clicked on those links, and what links they clicked on. So if I send out an email, maybe it's like a little email newsletter that talks about checking accounts in one section and auto loans in another. Well, I can see exactly who clicked on the links for that auto loan, give that to my loan officers to follow up with them, and maybe I can see who's clicked on the links for checking accounts. And maybe I want to send them another email, or maybe I send them a personalized direct mail piece, or maybe I have a new accounts person give them a call. Email platforms today are do-it-yourself. So you can certainly pay an agency like us to set up your emails, but you don't have to anymore. They are literally what you see is what you get. Drag and drop interfaces with absolutely no programming. So you can put text where you want it. You can put pictures where you want them. You can build those emails and blast them out, through these tools, that are available to you today. Good email platforms are responsive as well. So we just showed how over 51% of emails are viewed on mobile devices. So you want to make sure that your email marketing solution is mobile friendly. And you'd be surprised there's a lot of them that aren't. The good ones are. They allow you to schedule for future delivery. And now more and more automation options, are coming to market. So what that means is you can automate your follow-up. So I send out that email that we talked about a few minutes ago where we're sending out something on checking, or we're sending out something on auto loans, and then I'm going to see who clicks on those links. Well, now I can set up my follow-up emails automatically. So anybody that clicks on that checking account link, maybe I want to send them a follow-up email in 3 days or 7 days. Anybody who clicks on that auto loan link, maybe I want to send them another email in 2 days, or maybe, I want to send it, on Saturday when they're likely to be going to the car dealer shopping. Maybe first thing Saturday morning, I want to send them a follow-up to that auto loan offer. But all of that can be staged ahead and automated. There's lots of different automation options as well, but just following, who's clicking on what is a great place to start. This is an example of the email message results that you can expect what you can expect to see when sending out a message. So this happens to just be a screenshot from our email marketing platform that we use, but there are others that are similar. So I want to show you the kind of information that you get. So not only do you know, obviously how many messages were sent out, but I can see in this case how many were opened. And look at this, 21% of the people that received this email clicked on it. That is a huge number. Something in this message was highly effective, right? I got 235 unique clicks. This little click map down here, these little green dots, are showing you where people clicked, and the size of the dot shows you the number of people. And if you mouse over them, on the live platform, you'd actually see exactly how many people clicked on those links in those locations. But look at this big green circle down here. It might be a little bit hard to see on your screen because it's kind of, it's obviously muted in the back. The button on the top says skip a paper application, and the button on the bottom says electronic application. And look what got all the clicks. There were a few clicks on the paper application, but this big green dot is all the people that clicked on that online application. So people with email have the ability to take action. And because of, obviously the internet mindset today, they want to be able to take action immediately. And things like electronic forms and applications give them that ability. So I could have sent this out, and a lot of our customers do send this out with just a paper application, and they'll get some people to click on it. And maybe if that was the only, link, more would have clicked on it. But look at that difference. It's just tremendous. And we talked about earlier how you may want to leave some white space. I moved this up so that it would fit on the slide. But you can kind of see, even from this little piece, there was white space around those two buttons. It was very obvious where we wanted people, to take action, what we wanted them to click on. And again, the size of that green circle kind of demonstrates that. And the last thing I want you to look at is look at this particular email. And this is just one example. So while the average is 51%, this particular email, over 60% of the email messages were opened on mobile devices. So it just goes back to what I was saying about your website being responsive, your emails being responsive. It's just really critical because these numbers are just going to continue to grow. Everyone has a smartphone. Everybody's buying more and more data plans. Verizon, as an example, just changed their data plan, on all of their, smartphones. They've increased the amount of data you can use by 30%, and it's because that's what's driving the market. The more data they can offer at their pricing, the more customers are going to adopt it. Online advertising is the next thing we're going to talk about. It's our next gold medal winner. So think about when you're looking for information, whether you're shopping or you're just researching a topic, the place you're going is the internet, right? It's your number one source for information. But your number one advertising medium is not the internet. Why not? Your members and customers are doing the same thing. They're researching and shopping online, so that's where you should be advertising. Online ads are actionable, right? People can click on them and go directly to a landing page that you set up on your website to buy. Or in the case of that Skip a Pay email, I could add a Skip a Pay ad at the same time, and that would have linked right to that online Skip a Pay application. Maybe Skip a Pay is not the best example, but you get the idea that I'm talking about. With online advertising, you can set your budget. So you don't have to worry about, not controlling your costs, because you can set a budget you can set a daily budget, you can set a monthly budget, or you can set a per campaign budget. So you have a campaign, you work out all the numbers, you present them to your CEO says, great, you've got $500 to spend or $250 to spend on online advertising. You can set it so that the expense of that campaign won't exceed that number. You have two options for advertising online. Your first is advertising, or you have more than two, but you have two primary options. It didn't bring my numbers over. Your first option is search engine advertising. So you can advertise on the search engines. And when we look at search engine usage, unfortunately, the numbers didn't come through, but you can see that search engine usage as of June was heavily dominated by Google. Over 70% of searches online in June, this is worldwide, but 70% of searches online in June were done with Google. Bing and Yahoo share the same advertising network, the Bing advertising network. Together, they were about 20%. Baidu is a Chinese search engine, so not probably applicable for most people on the webinar today. And you can see that Ask and the other search engines are pretty minimal. So when we look at online advertising with search engines, you really have two choices, and one of those is heavily dominant over the other. But your two choices are going to be Google or Bing, and just know that Bing and Yahoo, those two search engines use the same set. They'll display the same sets of ads. Both Bing advertising and Google advertising has a whole network of other websites that display their ads, and those are all settings that you can control when you build those campaigns, and we'll talk about that in a second. These numbers didn't come through either, so I apologize. But your second option for online advertising is on social media sites. And what this chart was supposed to show you was where people are spending on social media ads. The yellow pie segment was Facebook. Not surprisingly, it's the dominant advertising engine when it comes to social media. The blue, I believe, was LinkedIn, and the green was Twitter. So, apologize for those numbers not coming through. They should have come through if you download the PDF from the attachments area of the GoToWebinar toolbar, or from the link that you'll receive this afternoon. Those numbers should be populated in there. But when we talk about online advertising, and when you set it up, how you set it up or how it works, again, so you have two options, kind of whether you're going to advertise through the search engines or advertise through the social media networks, or both. And once you pick those options, with each of those, you have two options. You can choose to pay per click, meaning that there's a cost every time somebody clicks on one of your ads in either the search engines or the social media sites. You pay each time that ad is clicked. Many people are going to see your ad without clicking on it, and they may choose to visit your site on your own. So you're not paying for how many times the ad is seen. You're paying just for how many times it's clicked. The advantage there is you know exactly how much that cost per click is. It is an auction, so if somebody's willing to pay more than you for the same advertising or that same click, their ad is going to be shown more often than yours. So you do have to pay kind of the going rate based on the search terms that you're advertising, or that target market that you're advertising to. But again, you can set the budget for the campaign for each day, and you won't go over that budget. You may not reach it, right? There's no guarantee you're going to get a certain number of clicks, but you're certainly not going to go over that budget. Pay-per-click advertising is useful when you want to accurately track obviously the number of clicks your ad gets, and you're pretty disciplined. You stick to your budget and you don't get into bidding wars. It's very tempting because it's an auction. So, if you place an ad and say, I'm willing to spend 20 cents per click, and then you come back in a few days and you see, well, another advertiser is bidding 21 cents on that same keyword, so I'm going to bid 22 cents. All of a sudden you blow your budget. So you want to be a little bit, smart about it, and you want to not get into that bidding war. But you do have the opportunity to adjust, if you need to. Typically, what these ads are going to cost per click. You will know ahead of time. There's lots of tools when you're building these ads out to show you, what you should bid, essentially, on these clicks, and we can help you with all of that. Your second option is paying for impression. So where you're paid for a click on the left-hand side here, now you're going to pay each time your ad is displayed. So now it's not about people taking action on my ad, but I want to maximize the number of times that people see my brand name, right? I want them to see, the name of my bank or credit union. I want them to see the name of my product. And pricing is usually established per 1,000 impressions. The way you're setting your budget here, you're going to know exactly how many times your ad will appear for your budget, but you have no idea how many people are going to click through, right? So it's really just about impressions. If you want your ad to be seen by 100,000 people or by 1 million people, you're going to have to pay accordingly by impression. You want to use cost per impression if you can realistically expect a high click-through rate on your ad. If you're launching a new product or service and really want to just have an awareness campaign, or if you are trying to build brand recognition. But I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, we recommend pay-per-click advertising online. We think it's a better use of your money. It's less expensive, and because you're paying for results, not just impressions, we think it's the way to go for the vast majority of your campaigns. There are times that pay-per-impression ads make sense, but you really have to know when to go that route as opposed to going pay-per-click. So when it comes to ad targeting, I want to explain how you can target ads online through these different providers. So with Google and the search engines, they both give you the ability to target by keywords. So choose words or phrases that are relevant to your products and services. So if somebody is searching for checking accounts or or auto loans, let's say, and then in Facebook, maybe they're following they like, auto loan, they like automobiles or, other auto related terms. You can certainly target by location. So both Google and the search engines allow you to target your ads, to the markets that you serve. They both allow you to target by device. So you can show ads specifically to desktop computers or tablets or smartphones if you need to. Not so important, not as important, I guess, for financial services as if you're marketing an app, for example. They both allow retargeting or remarketing. So some of you may be familiar with that, but if you ever go to Amazon as a good example, or any of the major retailers, and you look at a particular product and you don't buy it necessarily, that product has a tendency to follow you around the internet. When you go to other websites, all of a sudden, if I was looking at a pair of shoes on Zappos, that pair of shoes follows me all over the place for a few days. That's called retargeting. What's happening is the advertiser actually put what's known as a retargeting pixel on their landing page, on the page that showed that pair of shoes or that set of golf clubs. And because I viewed that pixel, it recorded that information. And now that ad network knows that every time I go to one of their websites that I was interested in that product, and it's likely going to show me that same product for a limited amount of time. With Google and the search engines now, you can also do a customer match. So we can actually display ads to people based on their email addresses. So we would upload a list of your account holders' email addresses and say, I want to target these people. And because, everybody just about has a Google account, and if they're social media users, obviously the social media networks knows their email addresses. And if those email addresses match, they're going to show them your ad. With the social media sites, you not only get all of this, but you gain the ability to target by age and gender, to target by interest. So now not only can I target for people that had general automotive terms, but now I can target specifically to people that are following Chevrolet or that are following Ford, or something like that. And then obviously I can target that ad design. So if they're following Chevrolet, I want to show them a Chevy Camaro, or if they're following Ford, I want to show them, one of the Ford SUVs or something like that. I can target ads based on behaviors. I can target ads based on level of education. I can target ads based on the connection. Are these people following me? Are they friends of people following me? Do I only want to show this ad to people who follow me? Do I only want to show this ads to people who don't follow me on Facebook? And again, I can even develop custom audiences. So a lot of flexibility. Google is primarily going to be the keyword and the location targeting and the remarketing, where Facebook you add the interests, the behaviors, and the connections. So really powerful stuff. When you talk about online advertising, you have 3 options for the type of ad that you're showing. You can show a search ad, which is like the text-based ad that you're used to seeing inside of Google. They used to call them sponsored listings. There's still some. Now they put them all on the top of the site. They used to put them on the top and the right-hand side. Facebook, the text ads, the search ads are on the right-hand side of Facebook. Display ads are graphical ads. So, they're more like a banner ad that you would see different sizes of them. And then on social media, obviously, there's boosted social media posts. And for those of you not familiar with it, only a fraction of social media users will see your posts. When you post something on Facebook, they're only going to deliver that post to between 10 and 20% of your followers. They're going to wait and see how much interaction that post gets, how many people like it, how many people share it. If it's very popular, they'll send it to more people for you. But chances are they're going to wait for you to pay for it. And you pay for it by what's known as boosting that post. They'll show you for $5 or $10 or $20 how many more people will get that social media post. We certainly don't recommend that you do that for every one of your social media posts, but it's usually pretty inexpensive and it can be well worth the cost, for some of your posts. So that's where you would see inside of Facebook, it might say sponsored by a post, and that's because it's either an ad that somebody's paid for or it's a boosted post. Our next topic is digital signage. And why do I promote digital signage as a gold medal winner? I'm going to compare kind of posters or your traditional lobby displays with your digital signage. So posters, there's little upfront cost, right? Maybe you buy some frames. With digital signage, clearly there's higher upfront cost. You have to buy some TVs if you don't already have them. You have to buy the little media players or the devices that, present the digital signage. But your ongoing costs are significantly different. With posters, you have higher ongoing costs. So between posters and digital signage, your design costs are going to be the same. Printing costs, you're paying per poster. And in digital signage, you're usually paying now some kind of monthly subscription for each TV. So even that might be the same. Posters, though, I have shipping costs. I have to coordinate with my branches to change those out. With digital signage, I have the ability to manage all of my displays across all of my branches centralized. I can do it from one location. I can upload those images. I can say which images those TVs are, which images are going to play on which TVs and when they're going to play. And I can do all of that from my desk as opposed to having to coordinate with all these different branch managers and get everything shipped out and all of that. And depending on how many posters you have versus how many digital displays you have, there can be a significant cost savings here as well. Posters are also very static, right? I can only have one message per poster, typically, maybe 2. But I'm not going to be changing that poster frame 5 times a day or 5 times a week for that matter. Where with digital signage, I can have dynamic content. I can have multiple messages on every TV, and that animation further attracts attention. So there's a lot of value in digital signage. Digital signage has evolved now. You can turn any TV into a digital sign. Anything that has an HDMI port and a Wi-Fi, if you have Wi-Fi in your branches and an HDMI port, you can plug a device like this into the side of that TV or into the back of that TV and turn it into a digital display. All of that content can be created and managed online at very low cost. You no longer need, servers and specialized software and all these things. You just need this little HDMI dongle and a wireless network connection. And that TV is now a digital display. We're getting near the end, I promise. So statement onserts are our next gold medal winner. We're talking here about printing graphical ads directly on your statements or displaying them on your e-statements. There's no printing or shipping costs that would be involved with a statement insert. And you can selectively include these for different groups of account holders, right? You can target by geography, by age, by account relationships, by balances. And on your e-statements, they're displayed in full color. On paper statements, they can be displayed either in color or black and white, depending on how you're printing your statements. Most of our customers are printing statements in black and white, but are displaying these in full color on their e-statements. And these can be included at any size and any position. So this is just one example that you're seeing here. Marketing on your e-statements is just as important or more important than on your paper statements. Keep in mind that those online members are less likely to come to your branches, right? And as you convert more members and more customers to e-statements, statement inserts become less effective because you're sending out less, you're sending out fewer and fewer of them. E-statement marketing, on the other hand, marketing on your e-statements can include links that enable people to take action right away online, which is a huge advantage over the traditional statement marketing. I can include, a statement insert, and maybe that has a link on it, but obviously somebody then has to sit down at their computer or pull out their smartphone and go to that link to take action, or from an e-statement, they can just click on that link. And this is what I'm talking about. These are banner ads that can appear with our e-statements, and I'm certain, other vendors have other solutions, but these can link to web pages or PDFs. Again, these can be the same for all of your account holders, and they can be, selectively displayed to different groups of account holders, all sorts of things. With e-statements, you can customize that email notification that goes out. In this case, this example, at the top here, it tells you that you have a statement available and how you can go to get it. But the key thing about this message is obviously on the right-hand side. So we're sending the information that your latest statement is available and, all of the particulars about that. But more importantly, this particular client is setting out this little campaign, about those mortgage loans. And even if you didn't click through to view your e-statement, you may very well click through to find out about a mortgage loan as low as 2.75%. Newsletters are on the decline. And that concerns me not because, newsletters are as important, I guess, as they used to be. They were a staple of your marketing efforts, though. So why are you abandoning them? And the three reasons that we're hearing about why customers are abandoning newsletters is because of increased e-statement adoption, right? It goes back to them sending out fewer and fewer newsletters because more and more of their account holders are on e-statements. They were expensive, right? Newsletters are expensive to print, and the time involved in putting them together. Right? They are a pain. There's a lot of work involved with putting a newsletter together. There's no doubt about it. However, the biggest benefit to putting a newsletter together is the content that you're generating, and that's the time-consuming part, right? So how do you get the biggest bang for your buck? Well, reuse and repurpose that content. So if you're going to, consider taking that newsletter and making an electronic newsletter. Even make them a series of emails. So maybe you're sending an email out once a week that's shorter and more frequent. Use the content that you're developing for your social media posts. I'll bet if we look at your last newsletter that I can find a bunch of posts, probably at least one or two per article in every one of your newsletters. And use the content from your newsletters in your web banner ads and that digital signage on those statement onserts. So everybody says, again, that the newsletter, it takes so much time to put together. Yeah, but it can become the staple of your marketing efforts, because now you put the time together to put that newsletter, you're going to take the time to develop that newsletter content, right? And I can use it for social media. I can use it for across all of these other channels, and I can greatly reduce the cost by sending it out via email. And with printing costs now, printing costs continue to decline, so that newsletter is probably not costing you as much to print as you think. I really think the biggest reason that people are dropping their newsletters is because of time, and they're not thinking about all of the other ways that they can use that content in their marketing. Right? The big buzzword now is content marketing. Go ahead and Google it, read up on it, and that content you're developing in your newsletter is going to help you across all of those other platforms. Finally, before I finish up today, I want you to think about bundling like Flo from Progressive, right? You design a poster as one example. That same design can easily be converted into a website banner ad, into a billboard, into a statement onsert, into a social media post, and into a newspaper ad. You no longer have to pay 6 companies, or 6 different designers to put all of this together. It can all be done in one shot. It's much less expensive than designing them individually, and your message gets spread across multiple channels. So by determining, again, that mix of channels at the start of every campaign, knowing that you're going into it and you're going to need all of these pieces, it's going to save you time and money and effort in the long run. Because literally a designer can take this poster design and create all of these other pieces, in 20 or 30 minutes maybe, for each one, as opposed to, 4 hours or whatever it was to start from scratch. So repurpose that content from the newsletter, repurpose the designs across multiple channels, and you're going to increase your results and reduce your costs. I like to always have my customers tell me, give me the usual, right? When you walk into your favorite bar or restaurant, they may know what you want. Marketing campaigns can be similar. So consider predetermining the components of your major and minor marketing campaigns. Those major campaigns might be the campaigns you launch quarterly, and those minor campaigns, maybe you've got a product of the month, type of thing that you're doing. Or maybe you're splitting it, if you're doing a campaign to existing account holders, these are the components that I want. If I'm doing one to new account holders, these are the components. But predetermine some of those components. Your team, at your bank or credit union, and the vendors that you work with are going to know what's expected right up front, and the time and cost to develop all of those are lower. Yeah, it's about bundling again. Give me the usual. Give me the bundle that I'm used to getting for this major campaign or this minor campaign, and everybody will be on the same page, and those pieces will be created as efficiently as possible. And that's all I have for you. So I'm pretty much right at my hour, but I would be happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you got something out of the presentation, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.